turn you over now to our resource person. We have Attorney Jericho Del Puerto, the co-founder, the COO, and legal director of PasaJob, to discuss basic compliance systems for startups. Sir Jake.
Thank you, Ma'am Steph. Thank you, Project Much. Thank you to the partners and to the attendees and the community. Good morning, everyone. I'll be sharing the presentation. Okay, so let me know if it's showing.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so the talk for this morning is entitled Basic Compliance System for Startups and MSMEs. Okay. I'll be your lecturer. I'm Attorney Jericho Del Puerto. So my nickname is Jake. That's why a lot of people know me by my nickname. In case you encountered people saying or describing me as Attorney Jake. Okay. So first things first, disclaimer. So what we're going to do this morning is more of discussion for our for educational purposes, for our own learning and general information. So as part of disclaimer, so please note that what I'll be talking is not professional advice, and of course, all statements are solely my own and do not necessarily reflect those organizations that I may be connected or affiliated with. And of course, given this is a learning session, so academic freedom and fair use for any content that I may be using that are owned by other copyright owners. Okay. I'm starting with this photo or image. Okay, what do we see? First thing that will come up to our mind is that it's a hotel, a bedroom hotel to be exact. Okay. Why do I start with this picture? Because this is the best illustration of what a good compliance system will do or what it can result for a business. Imagine the last time that you probably, how to say this, felt a very good service, whether it's a hotel, a cafe, a restaurant, name any business. Okay, I just thought about a hotel because again, at least that's the first thing that came to my mind when someone will ask me, name a business that provides great service. Okay, it's a hotel, because in a hotel, the moment that you enter the premises, you will likely be greeted by a how to say this, an attendant or probably a guard, and then you will be taken to the lobby where you will proceed with your registration and make a payment, and then you will be escorted, guided, or assisted to the elevator, and probably if you have many bags, they will help you with your bags, and then you will proceed to your room. And inside your room, everybody knows and can imagine that inside the hotel bedroom, it's clean, it's safe, it smells good. Okay, and how to say this, of course, the main service is the experience of relaxing, enjoying, resting in hotel bedroom. That's the main offer or offering of a business. So why is that relevant for our discussion? Okay, because if you will ask any hotel manager or hotelier or owner of hotel, they will tell you one thing, why that this kind of experience is prevalent, or it works for many hotel, because there are already I'd say the systems in place for this to work, meaning most advanced, or I would say 4-star or 5-star hotels will have operational manuals, and those manuals, everything that you've experienced from the moment that you entered the lobby, it's going to be in that manual. Even the words that the attendant, the clerk will say to you, it's probably in that manual. It's going to be part of their script. The hello, sir, good morning, how may I help you? Welcome back. Even in local stores, right? I think it was 2 years ago when I started hearing from our local shops like Dunkin' Donuts, their statement always says, they always say, welcome back. So the moment I heard that, it registered in my mind. Why are you saying welcome back? Are they assuming that I've been going to this place repeatedly? Okay, so not exactly. It's more of a script. Okay, so from what they say, from how they clean the bedroom, from how they offer their services, even to the point of them marketing or advertising their services. So it all worked because there is a system. Okay, so when we imagine a system, because it is the main keyword for our discussion today, that's why I'm starting with this. So we will have an operational definition or a common understanding of that word. So system is a set of principles or procedures according to which something is done. It's an organized framework or method. Okay, so imagine your business. You're a micro business, a BMBE, a barangay micro business enterprise, or a small to medium enterprise. If your business is going to be, how to say this, franchised, okay? So imagine that you intend to grow your business via the franchising model. You will have to break down your business into its component parts, okay? And then you will need to teach it to your franchisee, okay? That is why for those who have franchises, like those who have bought 7-Eleven, Jollibee, or McDo, or how to say this, the big ones, the Coffee Bean, Starbucks, okay? You have the same, you will experience the same experience, whether the Starbucks that you have last bought coffee was in Cebu City, you'll have the same experience in Davao City. You'll have the same experience in Manila, in Tuguegarao, okay, Puerto Princesa, and even assuming that there is a Starbucks in Tawi-Tawi, you'll probably have the same experience in Tawi-Tawi because, again, the business of Starbucks has been broken down into its component parts. And these are all systems, okay? From the moment that they prepare the coffee, the service that they'll provide to you, the greetings, the layout, the ambience, the aura of the, how to say this, the cafe, okay? You know when you're in Starbucks versus you're in another cafe or in a, how to say this, copycat cafe. Because if you're in a copycat cafe, those who try to copy Starbucks, you'll feel that there's something missing. There's a part to the experience that is not the same, okay? So that's the importance of systems. Now, the other important term that we need to have a common understanding for today is the word compliance, okay? When you hear the word compliance, particularly those who are in the profession of compliance business or compliance officers, okay, some of them are legal, but not always, okay? To become a compliance officer, you don't have to be a lawyer. You just need to understand the requirements, the procedures, the deadlines, the submissions, the forms, and so on and so forth of a particular agency. Okay, you don't need to be a lawyer so long as you understand how to say this, these, you'll be okay. Okay, so compliance is basically regulatory mandates. Okay, regulatory. It's important to take note of that word also, regulatory, because all businesses are subject to regulation. Okay, regulation. When we say regulation, we're talking about laws, we're talking about rules and policies and department orders of certain agencies. Okay, so for those who have businesses or intend to set up their businesses, particularly those who are planning to have to launch a startup, take note that when you register a business, even from the moment that you submit your application, whether it's the TTI for sole proprietorships or with the SEC for partnerships and corporations, compliance immediately starts. Okay, so the moment that you, I'd say this, process your registration, you now have to go to the next step. You have to get your, you have to process your registration with the BIR, with the SSS, PhilHealth, pag-ibig, and so on and so forth. Okay, and of course, there are other regulatory agencies that are least known but are starting to become, I'd say this, more active or more wide-ranging in their regulation. Okay, and then also depending on the type of business that you have, there are other specific agencies that might apply to you. Okay, I'd say this, for example, to the right side, you will see the National Privacy Commission. Okay, I'm sure when the pandemic started, most businesses became digital, and more often than not, or it's almost impossible to have a transaction without getting the name of your customer, without getting the mobile number of your customer, without getting the email of your mobile number. All of these are personal information. Okay, and when you collect, gather, process personal information, data privacy laws will apply. Okay, that's why the National Privacy Commission has been very active in campaigning for the information awareness on both sides, on the businesses and the individuals, with respect to protecting data privacy, particularly personal information. So even if you are a small business, okay, wala kang lusot, you're covered by the data privacy. The moment you gather information, you have to protect them. You should not be, I'd say this, leaking those personal information. Okay, then maybe I will just cite two more. The others, I'm sure you're familiar with SSS, PhilHealth, at pag-ibig. It's standard, of course, the moment that you have your number one employee. If you are not the number one employee, your next number 2, 3, or 5 employees, you have to, of course, register with the SSS, PhilHealth, and pag-ibig for the mandatories. The other, one more I should mention perhaps is more of the PCC, Philippine Competition Commission. That is a very interesting agency because most people think that PCC will not affect them, meaning it's only for big mergers, big companies trying to merge and how to say this, become a unified conglomerate. No, no, no. Okay, don't think of competition law like that. When the competition law was passed, I actively participated in their seminars, campaigns. So it was very fresh. It was very new, 5 or 7 years ago, and most of the lawyers there were either my batchmate, classmate, or friends from law school, from UP Law. Okay, so I know those people. When I attended their seminars, lectures, I got to understand more what competition law was all about, and I asked that very, very direct question, a specific question to one of the directors, and then after a few weeks, they came out with a regulation. How to say this, somewhat addressing the question I asked. My question was, in competition, it's all about being the, what they call this, the main player, the dominant player. Okay? My question was very simple. I'm sure most participants are from all over the Philippines, particularly those in the provinces, yung may mga probinsya. Okay, most of the time in the provinces, you're the only player. In the province, you're the only talyer. You're the only, how to say this, mga businesses usually in the province. There are many businesses in the province that usually there's just 1 or 2 players. If you are just you're the only player, that automatically means you're the dominant player. Okay, and then if that's the case, then regulation of pricing, on unbundling of services, products, and so forth. Those things will apply to you. And competition law, contrary to popular belief, will already should be part of your compliance. Okay, and then of course, in the center, why did I separate these three agencies or offices? It's because I keep saying before, when I was teaching MBA students, I keep telling my students, there are only three agencies that you should be fully aware or fully guarded against. Okay, number one is City Hall. Okay, I just put there Pasig because that's where our office is located, for the law office. But it could be Makati, it could be I'd say Tagbiliran, wherever you're located, City Hall. Because remember, you're going to get business permit from the City Hall. Okay, and the conventional wisdom is we don't fight City Hall. Okay, kasi the moment that you fight City Hall and you don't get your mayor's permit, your business is dead in the water. Okay, and of course the top two usually source of big problems for businesses is of course our BIR, Bureau of Internal Revenue. Okay, let me just say it right now. Okay, if you've been exposed to a lot of media coverage and all, you please remember that you have to file your tax returns and you have to pay the taxes. Okay, it's important. Okay, as what lawyers are taught in law school, taxes are the lifeblood of the economy. Lifeblood of the economy. It's why why we have roads, why we have electricity, why we have all of these services that we are enjoying from the taxes. So it's important to pay our taxes. And of course, the second one, the Department of Labor and Employment. Okay, yung best friend ng mga HR. Okay, so right now, what's the month? March? Yeah, it's the season of inspections. The season of inspection starts from February, March, April, until around June, July. Okay, so we have DOLE inspectors roaming around, going around establishments, checking for compliance. They usually have a checklist, and then they interview your people, mga empleyado ninyo. Okay, yung boss niyo ba, binabayaran 30-month pay? Okay, is your employer paying your holiday pay? And so on and so forth. Okay, so if an establishment is found out to not be paying these legally mandated benefits, then there will be a how to say this, an order from the Department of Labor through the regional director, mandating, requiring, or instructing you to pay, or else. It's important to know the or else. Okay, because contrary to popular belief, most of the media that we see, we usually just see BIR closing down shops, stores, or offices, right? There's usually that photographic image where we can, how to say this, imagine their officials closing, padlocking offices or businesses. But again, hindi alam ng marami, not known to many, DOLE has that same power. Work stoppage order. We call it WSO, work stoppage order. Okay, I'm sure for those who can still remember the Kentex incident, okay, the one that caused a lot of huge fire in a sleeper. I think there was a factory making sleepers where a lot of people died. Okay, that's one example. After the incident, pinasara ng DOLE, closed down, stop operations. Yeah, that's why we don't really hear a lot of that, because of course DOLE is trying to balance its role, because if you close down a business, a lot of people will lose their jobs. Okay, will not get paid. So that's why we don't really hear a lot. But I'm saying DOLE has that power. So take note of these top three agencies. They're front, center, and middle, for emphasis that you need to be compliant, whatever regulations that they will be issuing, and always make sure that your documents are ready in the event of, in case of there will be an audit or inspection on your businesses. Okay, now we have already understood what compliance is and what the system is. So a compliance system basically, there are many stakeholders. Okay, maraming stakeholders for compliance. Don't just think that compliance is just for the managers, the business owners, and the like. No, no, no. Okay, I realize the audience is composed of startups, micro, small and medium enterprises. This applies particularly for the small to medium enterprises. Usually in micro, it's just you, your sibling, your husband, your wife, your kids, your family, right? But the moment that you start expanding your operations, when you have people, employees, take note that also your employees are stakeholders. They will be thinking about the company and how it, how to say this, follows regulations. No employee will want to work for an employer who violates laws and regulations, who do not pay their SSS, who do not pay the employees withholding taxes. Your employees will start having negative feelings towards the business, and of course they will transfer to a different company. Okay, and of course the same goes for your customers. The moment that your customers realize that you are not, how to say this, if you are selling food, for example, food or cosmetics, if you are not complying with the regulations of the FDA, Food and Drugs Authority, then your customers will likely not, how to say this, buy your products. The same goes for the rest, but for specific to startups, take note that one of your stakeholders is your investors. Okay, your investors, your future investors, including venture capitalists and angel investors, will want to know how much do you put premium value on compliance. And if they start hearing that you are not complying with your taxes, OMG, goodbye investment. Okay, and so on and so forth. Okay, so I wanted to emphasize that because people, or most of I encounter, particularly managers, they think of compliance as simply documentation, like your binder, where you have a lot of manuals, and then after making your policy procedures, your systems, those manuals or binders full of manuals, it's just stuck in a shelf somewhere in the company. Tapos yun na, tapos na. They don't anymore, how to say this, implement it in their companies. So take note that if you want to build a culture of compliance, you need this. Okay. Do I need to spell it out what it is? Take note, we will have question answer later on. So for those who will be participating, you'll be winning some prizes. So take note of what this is. This is a tip. That's not about a hand. That's not about a watch. Okay. So let's recap. Why are we here? Why are we spending our day-to-day at this particular time listening to me? Okay. Essentially, why do we want to learn compliance system is that, of course, the standard and social acceptable answer is to protect our business. Okay. I am making the assumption that most participants here are business owners or will become business owners. Okay. So when you become business owners, syempre, pinaghirapan nyo yan. Blood, sweat, and tears, sleepless nights, long hours, back-breaking work that you dedicate to build that business. You don't want that business to just close down, di ba? You will fight tooth and nail. Minsan mapapaaway ka just to protect your business. Okay? So compliance, we put premium compliance because we want to protect it from issues, lawsuits, mga kiha left and right, mga kasuhan left and right, fines from agencies, offices, penalties. Okay? And of course, again, specific to startups for business investment readiness, okay, or due diligence, because most institutional investors will make a due diligence of your business and will learn immediately whether you are complying with your compliance, and it might become a break or deal, make or break for you if they learn that you don't have documentation on paying your SSS, PhilHealth, pag-ibig, you don't have documentation on the tax payments you made. That's going to be a very big issue or problem for investors. Okay, now we had the social acceptable answer. Let's go to the not so socially acceptable answer. Okay, this is more for the business owner side. Okay, if you ask business owners, particularly those who are veterans already or long time in the business, 20 years in the business, 25 years, 30 years, they will tell you one thing, why they create systems for their businesses, because they want to spend more family time. They want to spend more time for their own personal interests or hobbies or bonding with their friends and so on and so forth. That's why most of the time when we meet experienced business owners, what do they usually do? Most of the time, they're not in the companies. Okay, they're not looking over the shoulders of their employees. Actually, sometimes, most of the time, they're playing golf. They're having a vacation somewhere. They're, I had to say this, enjoying their life, basically, of course. But they were only able to do it after 10, 15, 20 years of backbreaking work. Okay, so but unfortunately, some business owners, despite doing the same length of time to build the business, 10, 15 years, they are not able to have more time for themselves or for their family because they fail to build systems, meaning the business is so reliant, so dependent on the founder. Delikado yan, okay? That's dangerous. You know why? Remember, as business owners, as leaders of the businesses, we are all human beings. Human beings. You are a human being, meaning you get sick, kakasakit ka. There's a possibility that you'll get into an accident. You won't know. The following day, masagasaan ka, makomatose. Ano mangyayari sa business mo? If there are no systems in place and they're all depending on your decisions for everyday functions, delikado yan. Okay? Or I'd say this, yeah, unfortunately, some business owners die. Okay? We have all heard in one form or another family businesses wherein the moment the father dies, the grandfather dies, the businesses collapse. Okay? Because the second generation, third generation don't know how to run the business. They were all depending on what the patriarch, or in some cases matriarch, orders or instructs. They're also dependent. So again, that's the beauty, the value of having a system. Even if you're gone, even if you are on vacation for 30 days or 60 days, or you are not able to attend to the business for the next 2 weeks or 3 weeks, you know that your company will still function, will still work. People will still do what they have to do, okay? Because they know that there's already a process, a procedure, and then the reason, in French, raison d'etat, the essence of what they're doing, they know why they have to do it, okay? So there. So you need to start with your why. Why do you need to build your culture of compliance? I keep saying culture because this is not just about manuals or books or how to say binders of compliance procedure. Okay, it's culture. You need to implement it. You need to live it. You need to actually practice it. Wag lang nyo lang gumagawa kayo ng compliance tapos you put it in your drawer or shelf or in filing cabinet tapos you never open it. You only open it when there is a problem. Okay, that's not good because that means that you are not putting emphasis on the importance or value of compliance in your business. Okay. So you also need this one. Okay. I mentioned earlier, there's one element. The second element is this one, the second requirement, to build a culture of compliance. Okay, so it's basically hearts and minds. You need that. You need, I would say this, your people, you yourself, as the business owner, kailangan ikaw rin mismo. You have the heart for it. You have the mindset for it, because you know the big problem that might result if you don't have a good compliance system in your business. Okay. One more thing. Okay, one more thing before we really start. We haven't actually started. Okay, intro pa lang to. Okay, 10:40 na intro pa lang. Okay. Take note of this. This is what I always what I always emphasize to many business owners. Your business is not special. Hindi yan special, at least in the context of compliance. Okay. It's not special. Because there's this wrong mentality, wrong mindset, wrong thinking na hindi yan mangyayari sa akin, attorney. Hindi yan, di ba? Delikado yung two words na yan, di yan or hindi yan. Ano parang narinig ko? They always think na it will not happen to them. Hindi sila ma-audit ng BIR, hindi sila ma-audit ng SEC, hindi sila tatanungin ng mga investors nila, and so on and so forth. The diyan is a very dangerous phrase, okay? It's the exception trap. People think that they are the exception. People think that those things only happen to other companies, but not to them. Okay, so that is a very dangerous kind of thinking, okay? Okay, what happens if really nangyari na? Yan. You receive an inspection or audit notice from one of the agencies or multiple agencies. Yan ang delikado pag marami na nag-inspect sa'yo. That means there's something really wrong with the business. Okay, and for startups, don't make the mistaken assumption that your investors will not ask questions. It is possible that your investors might start asking, what have you been doing with the money to invest in your company? And so on and so forth. Okay. And usually, in this scenario, that's the time that you start appreciating the value importance of having a good compliance culture in your establishment. Okay. So usually, once it happens or the big one happens, they always say to many business owners, when the big one happens, that's the time that they start building their structures, policies, and procedures, and so on and so forth for their compliance. Okay, so let's start. I prepared 5 learnings, 5 stories from actual experiences from my previous clients. Okay, so these are real stories. Okay, and I've met the real people behind those businesses, the founders, the families, and so on and so forth. But before we start, let's start first with a giveaway. Okay, so this is our we're giving away a work from home kit. It's composed of a mug, tumbler, a pad, a notepad, and a tote bag. Okay, so mechanics. Okay, by the way, can I get a hands up if you're still here and you're still alive? Okay, or a thumbs up. Okay, great. Okay, thank you. Just to give me an idea na you're still here. Baka nagsettle ako tuloy-tuloy at wala na palang tao. Okay. So instructions, just type the letter. My I say this, my teammate, Ms. Mary Ligunas from PasaJob, will look at the chat, and the first one to type the chat will be the first one to type the correct answer, hindi lang anything that you put in the chat. Okay, will win the work from home kit, and we will ship it, deliver it to you. Amin na, care of us, free shipping from us. Okay, so let's have the first question. I hope the instruction is clear. Okay, by the way, there's only 5 times that we will raffle. Okay, so single win lang to, give chance to others. Okay, so question is, what do you need to build the culture of compliance in your business? Type the letter of your answer in the chat. First one to answer will win it.
Okay, attorney, we have Miss Camille Madrinan who got this one.
Okay, Miss Camille, thank you. Thank you for participating. Thank you for all those who participated also. Don Jetro, Raisa, Lucigo, okay, Dami, Arnold, Roxanne, and so on and so forth. Ivy, thank you for participating. Okay, so medyo pabilisan to. Don't worry, there are 4 more questions. Okay. Let's start with the first story. You know, when I was preparing this slide, there's so many stories that I wanted to share, but I said to myself that I should just limit it to 5 stories, okay? Because of the time constraints. So I chose the best and most responsive stories in relation to the audience or participants. Okay, first one is a tech co-founder who nearly got kicked out, okay? What happened in that story? Okay. So the co-founder, the usual story, the main founder, the first one to think of the business, invites a co-founder to build an IT company. Co-founder accepted it and declined offers from other companies. And then the usual narration of the story. Eventually, the two got into a conflict. It turned personal and became irreconcilable differences. Okay, that's usually the storyline, the narrative, the project, the how to say, progression of the story. And then, of course, the founder wants to kick out co-founder. Of course, co-founder fought back. Okay, remember, number 2 part of the story. The co-founder also made sacrifices. He did not accept lucrative, better offers from other companies just to help the founder build the company. Okay, so I came into the picture, by the way, to help helping the co-founder. Okay, I met the co-founder 3 years before this problem arose. So si co-founder, I really knew him to be diligent, hardworking, and how to say this, he really had the heart for the company. I mean, when we first met, again, 3 years before this incident, like I felt from him that he really cared about the company. Okay, so fast forward 3 years, this co-founder approached me again and told me, attorney, kinikick out na ako from the company. Okay, so I was shocked, of course, because I thought everything was going well. You're a hard worker, diligent, and so forth. So what's happening? Okay, so I would say this: he received the notice to explain from the corporate lawyer, and then he was I helped him draft the reply. I also went to the hearing, accompanying him. So para akong bodyguard. I'm a big guy. Okay. So just to give him confidence what to say. So if you can imagine Senate hearings, okay, parang I'm the lawyer at his back. Kung may question siya, tanungin muna ako before he answers the HR, okay, and so on and so forth. Okay, long story short, how to say this? That's why I said who nearly got kicked out, because medyo not to say anything mean to the corporate lawyer. The corporate lawyer, hindi masyado, she was not that versed with labor law. Okay. How to say this? In my reply and how I explained to the HR, you are making a big mistake. This guy is not an employee. Okay, because co-founder siya, owner rin siya. Okay, even if your founder is 90% owner and he's just 1%, owner pa rin siya. And then he's director level, so executive siya. How to say this? And then he holds a corporate position. So if there's any way to remove him, it should be via the board of directors. Okay, so na technical sila dun, na kidney punch basically sila dun. So they stopped what they were doing because I told them, sige lang, push nyo lang yan, and then we will be the one who will sue you in the end. Okay, so they stopped what they're doing, and then basically they just gave him a graceful exit, gave him some favorable exit payout, and so on and so forth. Okay, so there, it's important to understand this story. Okay, so if there was a system, the business owners should understand that there should be a structure. you have your this is the usual structure. It can vary, but this is the usual flow. You have your founders, you have your shareholders, you have the board of directors, the corporate officers, the execom or mancom, senior managers, mid-level managers, and so on and so forth, blah, 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 until rank and file. Okay, so you have to clearly delineate who's who has the power, the authority, and so on and so forth. Okay, because if you don't know the needs and bounds of the authority, power, responsibilities, duties of each one, and halo-halo na, wala na, magulo na, it's messed up. Okay, and then you won't be able to know how to resolve issues or problems. Okay, and if there were policies and procedures in place, the corporate values and principles should be upheld by the senior leadership. It should be clear that if the company values transparency, accountability, sustainability, it should be clear. It should be imbibed. Hindi lang nasa documents, hindi lang nasa, not just words and phrases, but they really live the code. Okay. I can't really recall what was the issue, why they had a fallout here, but what I recall is that it's one of the values that they did not, I didn't say this, did not have an agreement with. I can't recall what it was. So, and of course, decision-making systems. Okay. I understand when you are starting your business, most of your decisions are what lawyers will call cowboy decision-making. Okay. Remember the photo I showed you kanina, cowboy. Okay. Kasi bara ng bara, tira ng tira. Okay. Because partly, it's important in a startup because you are trying to figure out the market, who are your customers, and so on and so forth. But as you mature, as you grow older, you need to build your system for deciding so that there will be regularity, there will be consistency, and then particularly for employees, they will not think that you are making arbitrary decisions. Precedents are important. The moment that you decide on something before, so meron ng case before, it will be used by other people. Sir, ma'am, di ba dati in this case ito yung decision nyo, but ngayon hindi, di ba? So those problems, you will think it's small problem, pero that small fire can easily become a big fire. Okay, so your conflict resolution procedure, how do you intend to solve problems, particularly if medyo mataas yung level, yung mga founder level yung awayan. There. Then election of directors, election appointment of corporate officers. And then at the bottom, by the way, I like this book. I'm not, if you have a way to read or to, if you want to, if you want a good book recommendation on leadership, I suggest you read this book. Okay, it will teach you how to say this, how to make decisions based on principles. Okay. Again, I mentioned earlier, cowboy decision. So there are different kinds of decision making. You're deciding as a leader. Sometimes when you decide as a leader, it's not going to be the same if you're going to decide as a business, because it's a business decision. Okay, or sometimes the decision is emotional. Most of the time, emotional decision, I see it pag mga labor or employment issue. People are so emotional pag may labor complaint. And sometimes when people are emotional, people don't make the right decision because they feel aggrieved, nasaktan in Tagalog. So mahirap mag-decide if masyadong malalim ang hugot. Ika nga. Okay, and then of course the others, bleeding hearts decision, normative decision, and so on and so forth. Documentation. By the way, is Lucy Go raising her hand? Just let me know. Okay. Documentation. So take note that when you start your business, even before registering it with the SEC, I'm not even suggesting DTI, pero for M-Micro and BMB, Barangay Micro Business Enterprise, perhaps DTI will do. Pero I keep pushing that at least you register your businesses as a partnership or a corporation because it will have a separate TIN, tax identification number. Mahirap in DTI or sole proprietorship because you'll be using your same TIN, TIN. And if your business does not do well, it's so difficult to close a business, and then your TIN will be held hostage by the RDO concerned, Revenue District Office. concerned by the BIR. And it's very difficult if you're going to look for a job in a different city, province, or region, okay, because your TIN cannot be transferred. By the way, yan yung issue ni Manny Pacquiao. He wanted to transfer his TIN from Jensen to, I think, in Metro Manila. He cannot transfer it because of pending issues or complaints. So I'm trying to drive home the point that if you're going to start a business, at least make it a partnership or a corporation or a cooperative that will have a separate TIN, so you won't have issues later on if the business does not work out. So these are the documentations. I'm sure you're familiar with them if you are a corporation. Okay. Okay, giveaway time. Again, first one to type the letter of the correct answer. Type in the chat box. Okay. Time check 10:55. Okay. Question: what do you call the document signed by the founders before starting a business? Okay. Meryl.
Attorney, our winner for this one is Azaril Sumaya.
Okay. Thank you, Azaril, for participating. Again, make sure to reach out to Meryl, or maybe Meryl will reach out to you for the shipping details. We will take care of the shipping. It's free delivery. Even if you are in Mindanao, so I realize some participants are from Mindanao, so we'll take care of the shipping. That's okay. Okay, for the rest, thank you for participating. Eleanor, Ed Huwet, Santolos Reyes, Joseph. Okay, maraming participate. Anas. Okay, Catherine. Thank you. So the document is a founder's agreement. Okay, there are many templates online. Essentially, the founder's agreement is basically putting down ikaw, magkano yung equity mo or percentage mo ownership. Okay, in exchange for that, what will you do? Will you be the one who will will you be the operations manager? You take care of marketing. Will you take care of sales? So there's going to be, you will write down what they will contribute in order to earn the equity. And then one critical part ng founders agreement is how to say this, the procedure in case that there will be issues or conflicts, because human nature as we are, okay, don't forget we're all humans, so we're capable of not agreeing with each other, okay, particularly in these trying times. You know, almost everyone is angry online. Okay, so take note. You might be, I'm not saying that how to say this, it will really happen that the business owners or founders will fight. I'm just saying, just be mature enough to realize that possibility. Okay, that's my statement. Okay, number 2. Let's hurry this up. Time check 10:57. Number 2, I met this restaurant owner. Funny. Kinasuhan siya ng kanyang tiya, aunt, who told her that magatrabaho ako as a volunteer to your restaurant because I think the aunt was trying to apply for work abroad. So kailangan niya ng work experience na restaurant. So in exchange, volunteer siya with that restaurant. So this restaurant owner, I think she was around in her early 30s when I met her. So she inherited a family business, chain of restaurants. Her aunt volunteered, si tita, si auntie, nag-volunteer to work. Again, I think, if I recall correctly, so that she will have work experience for working abroad. And number 3, eventually, it's always like that, yung narration or yung story. Away sila, nagkaroon into conflict, naging personalan lang, away, and then escalate to irreconcilable differences. Okay, hindi na sila talaga magkasundo. And number 4, to the shock, surprise, and dismay of that restaurant owner, si Madam 30-year-old, okay? Naka-receive siya ng notice from DOLE, Department of Labor and Employment. Si tita, si auntie, nag-file ng complaint. Remember, tita said, volunteer ako. So when you're a volunteer, you're not an employee of the company, di ba? That's the point ng volunteer, di ba? There's no employer-employee relationship. Pero ngayon, 180 degrees si tita, si auntie. Okay, long story short, walang laban dito sa restaurant owner. owner, kaya they settled. Okay. They settled. How to say this? By the way, I wasn't there. I came in after the incident already. It's more of natuton himasmasan si restaurant owner. That's the time that she put value on documentation, policies, and employment contracts in her company. That's when I came in after the fact na, after the whole incident. That's what I always say. Usually, business owners put value in compliance the moment na ma-encounter mo na. Okay, and then usually, remember, when you have these cases, kasuhan, you'll pay for your lawyer, you'll pay for the settlement fee, you'll be inconvenienced because you have to go to the hearings. Not all hearings, parati abogado ha. May mga hearings na the party, the business owner will have to be there physically. Okay, once, twice, or sometimes 3 times, depending on the judge. Okay, so grabe ka inconvenient. And then remember, ikaw, syempre, if you were in her shoes, lapitan ka ng auntie mo, syempre, family, tita. Sige, tita, trabaho ka, volunteer. What do you expect? Di ba walang documentation, walang permahan yan? Kasi nakahiya. Just me. If you're a veterano kang, experienced kang business owner, walang hiya-hiya pag ganito mga situation. Okay? Unless gusto mo makatikim ng legal problem or headache. Okay? So take note, particularly in labor law compliance, DOLE compliance. Remember this, very important. I'll say this very important sentence. If you have a book, pen, and paper, write it down. Any individual who works for your company is presumed to be a regular employee by the law, period. Ang delikado ng sentence na yun, di ba? Because that is the real state of affairs. Okay? That's why in many big companies, kahit intern ka, volunteer ka, pero papirmahan ka ng document na volunteer ka or intern ka. Okay? Or how to say this, independent contractor. Basta not an employee. Because it is a labor law. It's law. You cannot fight it. In this case, ang tinanong lang ng labor arbiter sa kanya, totoo ba yung auntie mo nagtrabaho sa restaurant mo ganitong oras, ganito ganyan, naghugas ng plato, nagsaing, nagtimpla ng kape. Anong sagot ng business owner? Yes po, sir. Lagot ka. Lagot ka. Yari ka. Okay. Game over. Okay. And then, siyempre, si business owner will say, but sir, sabi po ni auntie, tita ko, volunteer lang po siya. What do you think will be the reply of the labor arbiter? Sige nga, patunayan mo yan. Saan ang dokumento? Game over. Okay. Labor law compliance. Most obligation responsibility is on the employer. The burden of proof, the one who has to prove left and right things and this and that is mostly on the employer. Okay. If the employer cannot prove it, the labor arbiter has no other choice but to follow the law. And even if the result will be unjust, unfair to the heart of the restaurant owner, sorry na lang kasi we have a principle under the law. Jura lex sed lex. The law may be harsh, but that is the law. Okay, I repeat, the law may be harsh, but that is the law. I have to emphasize because there are so many employers na talagang mabait, fair, just, pero naiisahan ng mga, well, not so good people na employees. And then, kahit binayaran talaga ng holiday pay yung tao, pero walang patunay si employer na binayaran niya, doble na naman papayaran ulit ang employer. Game over. Okay? So that's the value of compliance. You'll appreciate compliance more when you hear of these stories, or wag naman sana you encounter it yourself. So if there was a system in place, the business owner should have a structure for those who are employees and for those who are not employees. Yung mga not employees, these are your volunteers, partners, interns, apprentices, learners, and so forth. So even if they claim that they want just to have a work experience so that they can put it in the resume or CV for work abroad, please, please, please. Okay, I know some employers want to help other people. This is what we call kanina bleeding hearts decision. Yung mga bleeding hearts, they want to save the world. They want to help people. They want to be the how to say this, the savior mentality. Okay, delikado yung ganung type of decision making. Okay, because under the law, even if you want to save or help other people, there are laws and regulations that are put in place, and you have to comply. And if you don't comply, there are consequences. Okay. So policies and procedures. So what will be your values towards employees, towards volunteers, interns, and that will guide you with your policies and decision making. And of course, again, precedents are important. Because, halimbawa, itong restaurant owner, may precedent nangyari na sa kanya. She already experienced it. Do you think she will again make the same mistake? Definitely not. Kaya nga pumasok ko sa picture. That's the time that she, when she, before the pandemic, she attended one of my seminars. And then she could really feel malalim yung hugot niya kasi she already experienced it herself. And she knows now the value of organizing well her company, putting structures, putting policies and practices in place. And of course, the grievance machinery. Most employers, business owners are scared, takot. They fear their employees complaining. I've been practicing labor law for about more than 10 years now. My advice is don't, wag. Because if you can face your fear at that moment, okay, you can actually, a lot of labor cases, you know what, it can actually be solved by simply saying, I'm sorry, nagkamali ako. Okay? Pero may hirap yan, di ba? If you're the boss, you're the manager. Okay? To say that. Sometimes your employee who has a grievance against you or galit sa'yo just needs to hear those two words, I'm sorry. May mga cases ako ay natatawa na lang kami ng mga labor arbiters, mga lawyers. When we go to DOLE or NLRC, then we realize na yung punot dulo ng problem, the main issue of the problem was nagka-personal alitan. So there was really no labor law issue. There was no holiday pay na walang binayad. There was no dismissal, illegal dismissal. There was no 30-month pay hindi binayaran. Wala. Personal alitan lang talaga. So, you know, kami mga lawyers and labor arbiters. Labor arbiters are also lawyers, by the way. They are like RTC judges. They are the equivalent of regional trial court judges or MTC judges. So, you know, in those instances, tingin na lang kami, OMG, we're wasting time because may nasaktan ang damdamin. Okay? So, take note of that. Okay? If you have the chance to solve the issue or problem at the level, the plant level, company level, office level, do it. Grab the opportunity. Okay. Number 3, so documentation, individual joins, whether it's an employer and employee, isa lang bagsak niyan, documentation. The moment that you don't do document when it comes to work, yari ka sa DOLE, yari ka sa NLRC, National Labor Relations Commission. If those who are not aware what NLRC is the labor law court. DOLE, you can think of DOLE similarly as a police. Si DOLE ang PNP. Si NLRC, siya yung korte. Okay? A lot of people keep thinking na si DOLE yung nagde-decide ng mga cases. No, it's the NLRC, it's the labor law court. Okay? Okay. Time check. 11:08. Okay, we can make it. Instructions again, same instructions. Okay, so I think by now, medyo experience na tayo, veterans na tayo.
Sorry to cut you. There's just a comment that you might want to read first. That's
Okay.
similar to the examples that you gave from Miss Eleanor.
Okay. Sir, una muna, saan tayo magsimula? Kay Sir Ed. Wet.
Kahit the
Okay.
last one. Yeah, sige.
Sige, kay Sir Ed Wet muna. Why would the DOLE, I will read the question from Sir Ed. Why would the DOLE allow the aunt to file a complaint if the law does not recognize the aunt's transaction as legal? Thank you, Sir Edward. Thank you for the question. It's a very good question. Okay. This is going to be a direct answer. Walang halong palabok. Okay. Ganito yan. Dole NRC does not care whether you are an actual employee. When you file a form, marami yan, dami kaso na mali pagkaintindi na they're supposed to be just volunteers or what. They don't care. The moment that you fill up that form, there's that we call a SENA form, the single entry approach form, and then you state there, and then you the person, I'm using the word person, hindi siya employee. The person incorrectly thinking the empleyado siya files that form. Dole NRC does not care. Part of their policy and procedure, the moment that they receive a form, kaagad, subpoena, notice, hearing. We don't care. Because that is the system. That is the Dole system, the NRC system. Why? Simple. Because doon mo talaga malalaman sa hearing what really is the, because some people do not really have a good grasp understanding of labor law, okay? And then you might be aware of this already. Our labor laws are more, particularly for, how to say this, rank and file supervisory employees, they're more sympathetic. That's the best way to say it. Sympathetic to them. That's why they will be heard or pakikinggan sila. And then in that hearing, doon na makakalaman ko talaga. And then in that hearing, the labor arbiter will learn, okay, in that case, by the way, there's an order. Probably, the labor arbiter will say, medyo naintindihan ko nangyari, pero ang kamay ko tali. Bakit? Because may law, may labor law is a special law. It's very protective to employees or workers, particularly again for rank and file supervisory. I'm making the distinction because it's different when it comes to managers. The labor arbiter will say, okay, I understand what you are probably saying is true, correct, accurate, that your aunt was just a volunteer. The problem is, again, there's this law, and we're just going to follow a checklist. The law says, did this individual person work for that establishment? Check. Did this did this particular employee have any documentation that will show that he or she is not an employee? X. Yari ka. Pag na moment hindi mo yun ma-checkan. Because again, in that under labor law, the default status of an employee is a regular employee unless proven otherwise. That's why maraming companies rin na nagpapakita sa probationary employment pero walang documentation, yari sila. Kasi even if mag-agree kayo verbally, empleyado probationary, pero walang documentation to show it, the law sees that person as a regular employee kahit the employer sees it otherwise. I hope I'm able to answer the question. One more from Eleanor. I also filed an NRC because my siblings removed me without inspection pay. The 2 years, they just say lost confidence. I filed labor case because I'm the sales manager. BO, they removed me. I share still with them. No evidence provided. They don't want to settle and say should not. Okay. Long story to. Okay, for Eleanor, if I get it right, okay, this is critical because from your first sentence, first part of your story, it appears that this is a family business. Okay, my siblings removed me, so I'm right. Family business is not only about parents and children. It can also be made of a business made up or composed of siblings. Loss of confidence, sales manager. Okay, yeah. So it's like this. A person can have multiple roles or statuses in a company, particularly in a family business. You can be an employee, and even if you're an employee, you can also be a managerial employee, and then you can be a director, so executive level, or even a corporate officer if you are either president, treasurer, or secretary. And of course, if your bylaws provide for other positions, then that can be added to the list. Or also a shareholder. Okay, so in the case of Ellen. Okay, it's to everyone. Akala ko kasi direct message to the editor. Okay, so it will now depend on what role or status are you being removed. It's possible that you are just being removed as a as a manager, sales manager, but not necessarily as a director. If you are being removed as a sales manager, that's an employment position. So mag-a-apply sa yung due process, notice to explain, opportunity to be heard, and then the third step, which is the decision or notice of results, which is, it could be, how to say this, a dismissal or a minor penalty. But even if you're removed as a sales manager, it does not mean that you are removed as a director. Because again, ibang process to remove a director. It's a corporate level. It's an intra-corporate dispute, STC level yan, hindi na totoo jurisdiction. So depending on your bylaws, but generally under the corporation code, there are certain grounds for removing a director, and then there's a certain process where there will be voting na mangyayari to remove the director. It's a totally different procedure. Okay. How to say this? Yeah, so there. So whatever due to you as a sales manager, hopefully this is still an active case. If you're going to come up eventually later on, if there's the possibility of settlement, I would suggest just take the settlement. Of course, provided it is fair, acceptable to you. Okay, because it's really complicated when it comes to family business, because you have to consider your family relations, of course. To Miss Catherine, okay, her experience, lawyer for walang panalong worker. Not really. It's not correct. It depends. You know, labor law is a labor case, okay, to be exact. Okay, so may kaso na. It's a game of documentation. Kung sino may documents. Kaya wag kayo masyadong papaniwala parating nanalo yung empleyado. Natatalo yung empleyado, ang dami kong kasong na-handle natalo yung empleyado kasi wala siyang proof. Generally, proof is on the employer required. Pero may mga certain instances na si employee kailangan magpakita ng proof. Halimbawa, kapag regular na tatanggap ng empleyado yung amount, halimbawa, yung sweldo, kailangan si employer magpakita ng kasi regular tatanggap. Pero pag hindi regular tatanggap, meaning, how to say this, added pay siya, halimbawa, overtime pay, hindi yan regular. Ikaw, ako, mga people here, di naman always nakatanggap overtime pay, di ba? Always, nangyayari lang yan kapag if we apply for overtime pay, it gets approved, there's documentation to it, and then there's a time that we are entitled to it. Pero, si empleyado cannot just do overtime pay, overtime at his own pleasure, or gusto niya mag-overtime, parang bayaran overtime pay. No. Kung walang documentation to show that it was approved, hindi siya entitled nun. So, sa kaso, kung overtime pag-uusapan, pag hindi makakita ng documentation si empleyado na entitled sa overtime, so matatalo si empleyado. Ganun yun. Documentation talaga ang labor law. Okay, I'll read one more kay Packetworks, and then the rest we'll catch back later. Packetworks, Raisa. Okay, magandang question. That's a really good question, Raisa. If you explicitly state in the agreement that there's no employer-employee relationship and it was signed, will Dolly still proceed with the hearing of the case? Yes. Yes. Y-E-S. Yes. One more. Yes. One more. Yes. Okay. Remember what I told you, proseso lang yan, sistema lang yung Dolly. The moment mag-file yan. Okay, what I always say sa mga students, again, power statement, very powerful statement, labor law. Whether or not the employee or a person claiming to be an employee is correct. I repeat, whether an employee or a person claiming to be an employee is correct with his or her claim, it does not matter. That person has the right to file the case. And since it's the right, there's really no filter. The DOLE and RC will not filter it, whether your claim is correct or not. It will just proceed with the process, with the system. You go to the hearing, you submit your position paper, your reply, and then the labor arbiter will decide. Happy for you if the labor arbiter will say, okay, I've decided that tama si employer, no employer-employer relationship. But remember, you went through the process, meaning that's like 1 year of spending time, paying legal fees, and so on and so forth, just to get the decision na no employer-employer relationship. Hassle, di ba? Very inconvenient. Okay. And then, unlucky for the employer if the labor arbiter eventually says, I know, marunong magbasa, nakita ko sa document mo na no employer-employer relationship. Pero, remember, may labor law na the statement under labor law is the status of an employee is not what the parties, meaning the employer-employee, says it is, but what the law says it is. I repeat, the status of an employee is not what the party says it to be, but what the law says it to be. Diba? Maraming mga ganong mga principles sa labor law na if the employer is not aware, delikado. Okay, so even if you have your no employer-employer relationship, pero under the law, the fourfold test, the fourfold test, for things to know if there's really an employer-employer relationship, even if the document says otherwise. Number 1, hiring and selection, ikaw ba ang pumili at nag-hire sa tao na yan? Number 2, ikaw ba nag-payment of wages, ikaw ba nagbayad? Number 3, do you exercise control? Inuutusan mo ba yung tao na yan? Number 3, control is the most important factor. Number 4, do you have the power to dismiss? Can you terminate the engagement of that employee? So 1, 2, 3, 4. Again, 1, selection hiring. 2, payment of wages. 3, control. 4, dismissal. You only need actually just number 3, control. The moment that the complainant proves that inuutusan mo siya, you are controlling his or her conduct, how to do the work, employee mo siya. Okay? That's why, by the way, just to give you an idea why that's important, that's the argument ng mga ng mga Grab, Food Panda, and the like. Okay? An independent contractor, aka talent, yan na rin yung case ng GMA talents. Okay? The idea is, wait, I'll just use one good example if we have time. 11:32. Okay, 2 minutes, kaya to. Best way to explain this. Okay, ganito yan. Referee ng Philippine Basketball Association is the best case to explain this. Okay, raise your hand if you think the referee of PBA is an employee. Who says that the referee of PBA is an employee? This is the best case to explain. Wala. Wala nag-explain. Okay, so nangyari yung case na yan. One referee of PBA filed a complaint. Okay, kasi sa kontrata niya, no employer-employer relationship, talent daw siya. Okay. When it was decided by the Supreme Court said, so by the way, going back to the complainant, the referee. So sa kontrata niya, no employer-employer relationship, so challenge niya because they are allowed to do it. Again, right nila yun to challenge their status even if they are not in the contract, no employer-employee, but they can challenge their status and claim that they are a regular employee. That's what we call regularization cases, if you're aware of regularization. Okay, so yan. Eventually, the Supreme Court said, no, you are not an employee because walang control si PBA sa'yo. Control. Si PBA ba, the association, does the PBA tell you, referee, Mr. Referee, when to blow your whistle, what decision to make? Si PBA association ba or any of the representative tell you na foul yan? Does any of the representative of the association tell you na, oh, jumble ngayon? Or free throw? 3 points? 2 points? Di naman, di ba? That's the power of control. The moment an organization controls, how to say this, a person doing work, there's a very big indication na employee siya. That's why, this is just for academic discussion. Grab drivers, Panda drivers, technically they are not being controlled by Grab, Panda because delikado pag magkaroon ng control. Okay, because that will create the employer-employee relationship. Okay, hope I'll be able to answer that, and let's proceed to finish this. Last two. So next question, type your answer. What is the default status of person working in the business? Type in your answer in the chat. Meryl, can we see who answered correctly? But the answer is a regular employee. D.
The winner for this one is San de los Reyes.
Okay, thank you. I'll proceed. We have a few more minutes left. Number 3, time check, 11:25. Okay, maybe I can finish this 4 or 5 stories. Enviropreneur, easy. You know, even if you have a very good business, you want to save the world. Okay? Sabihin mo yun sa BIR, walang pakialam si BIR sa'yo. Even if you want to save the bees, if you want to save how to say this, the dogs, okay? Walang pakialam si BIR. BIR, bayad ka, tax. End of story. Okay. Nabayad ka ba? Show your proof. If you don't show your proof, okay, penalties, etc., etc. Okay, so I'll go through this. I'm sure if you're a business and I don't know if you are 2 years or 3 years in business, you should have already your accounting system. When do you issue your invoices, ARORs, and then whether you are monthly percentage tax or what, and so on and so forth. You should be aware of that already. And it's the best, if you're not aware, that's the best time to ask your accountant, if you have one, or an external accountant to help you with that. Policies, procedures, accounting system, again, for your compliance. One more, I think this is the last one. Type the letter for answer. Okay. Maybe I wasn't able to discuss, but okay, let's see who are aware of the answer. What do you call tax that have to be paid for executing certain documents? The answer is DST. Let's see who was able to get that. I had to emphasize DST because most of the time we are aware of the VAT pag may sales, lalo kapag if you're a VAT registered. If you're not VAT registered, it's MPT, the monthly percentage tax, you have to pay it. And then capital gains tax if you're going to sell assets of the company. Now, a lot of people fail or do not realize that there is the DST for certain documents that you have to sign and notarize. You have to pay documentary stamp tax for that, particularly, for instance, yung mga loan documents, yung mga investment documents, yung mga generally commercial documents, they are required DST to be paid. So let me know, Meryl, if somebody got it right.
The first person who got it right was Miss Raisa, but we'll give chance to others since she already got one. So the winner for this one is Sir Ed Huet of Ed Foods Corp.
Okay, thank you, thank you. Single chance lang. Give chance to others. Thank you, thank you. Okay, 2 more. We can finish this. So let's see if Lola. I like Lola. Okay, I met her 2019, months before the start of the pandemic. She was 70 years old. She built a business selling leche flan. Alam nyo, siya yung supplier ng Chowking. I was so surprised. Very humble operations nila. I mean, she's the one supplying leche flan, ube jam. Okay, if you can think of Halo-Halo, Chowking, their business is the one that supplies Chowking. So I was very surprised. Okay, sabi yung office nila, I think Nabotas ata area. Okay, so now, again, micro, small, medium enterprises, after several years, once you start growing, business matures, most of the time you want to transfer ownership control to your family. So you start thinking about these things already and magbabago yung structure, magbabago yung values ninyo, masasama na yung family values. And then magbabago rin yung mga systems in place. By the way, I'll be sharing this slide, so don't worry if I'm going through this quickly. Okay, so unique yan pag family businesses because yung family dynamics ng first gen, second gen, third gen, yung mga hugutan, yung mga si daddy nagbigay ng kotse kay Kuan, bakit ako wala? Etc. Yung mga awayan. Okay, minsan family yun na awayan, hindi wala kinalaman yung business. Okay, so minsan nayahalo sa business yung problema ng nangyayari yung mga incidents. One more, may isa pa pala. I'm shocked. I'm surprised as well. So, I'm not sure if I was able to discuss the answer, but okay, let's see who will probably get it right. Okay. For those in a corporation, who exercises the corporate powers of a corporation? Sino yung top level decision-making body? That's already a tip. In a corporation, company, who decides? The answer is, okay na ba? Sabi na ba? The board of directors, okay? So it's always important that you can contact your board of directors, because if there's a very important decision to be made, it's not the CEO, it's not the president, it's the board as a group, as a body that decides. They're the top decision-making body in an organization. So Meryl, let me know.
This one goes to Eleanor Oligario.
Okay, last story. So I met this billionaire. I was in my 4th month of being a lawyer. So bagong salta ako, first year ko as a lawyer. And it was assigned to me, and then like I was so shocked and surprised. In many ways, okay, because that billionaire built several businesses, okay. Let's just say, I won't name him because siya nga mismo ayaw niya sasama sa listahan ng mga top wealthy in the Philippines. Okay, so the point is, again, most businesses in the Philippines start as small, micro, small, and eventually become enterprise. Eventually, they'll become a large enterprise. And then when that happens, the growth project, the progression, the evolution, the story, so usually you start, how to say this, professionalizing your businesses, okay? Most mature business owners realize that sometimes, not all the time, sometimes your kids might not want to join the family business. Or even if your kids want to join your family business, but in terms of level of competence, skills, knowledge, experience, hindi pa sila hinog. They're not ready for the role. So it's the best time to engage professionals who will take on key important aspects of the business, and they will be the ones who will, again, build the structures, build the systems, and then hopefully those in the family who wants to join the family business will learn from them, and then take on the reins later on, become the head, and improve more what's already set in place. Okay. So again, this is the ideal for those who want to understand what happens in a very successful business. So if you look at the 3 circles here, the bottom right, those are the 3 major groups. You have your ownership, mga shareholders. Sometimes they're family, sometimes they are external investors, sometimes they're foreign investors. And then you have your family, then you have your management team. So if you notice, nag-interact yung relationship. So that's something to take note of. And then, again, family values are important. What are the things that you pride yourself? Because I've seen a lot of family businesses that have very different family values. I mean, no judgment. Some families really just have different, how to say this, values. Okay, and it will affect the way that they run their businesses and how they will grow their business and priority. Some are very nationalistic, patriotic. That's good. Okay, they want to be part of nation building. Okay, some are very reserved, very private. So okay, it's okay as long as you are also able to provide for work for your employees and so on and so forth. Okay, again, the dynamics are different. So there, what's the ultimate value again for? So again, documentation, you'll get the slides later on. So when you have your systems in place, compliance systems, and of course, compliance system is just one system. You should also have your systems for marketing, for how to say this, sales, for human resource and everything. When all of these systems work really well, you don't have to tire yourself, you don't have to fatigue yourself. Kung harapan sarili mo, trying to put out the fire, that's the expression, di ba? Na parating lahat na susunog sa kumpanya, always needing your attention. If that's what's happening, that you always put out the fire, that means you don't have systems in place. People are always asking you for a meeting, for a call, for a decision. That's not good. Okay, that's a big red flag. That clearly shows that your business is not mature. When you have a mature business, again, I repeat, you can go for a 30-day vacation, 60-day vacation, and when you go back, you still have your business. That's the best kind of business. So, what will be your story? Okay, so you choose. You want to build your systems, or you want to, how to say this, do a cowboy approach. Okay, thank you. I hope this has been informative. Thank you for your time.